WMEL.
Ed Dean, weekdays 5 to 7 p.m. on FM 99.9, 94.7, and 100.7. The views expressed on the following program are those of the hosts, callers, and guests, and are not necessarily those of WMEL staff, management, or advertisers.
Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and all ships at sea. And I'll explain that in a minute. I'm Kerry Fink on Helping Seniors Radio, and I'm in here today for our normal host, Joe Steckler. So I'll first introduce myself as Executive Director of Helping Seniors of Brevard and tell you I'm not Joe, but I'm getting to play him on the radio today. So that's a big treat for me. And thank you for making 1510, 50,000 watt WMEL 1510 part of your afternoon with Helping Seniors. I wanted to explain the ships at sea. I was having breakfast with John Harper, the owner of WMEL today, and he was telling me that this is actually the strongest radio station in the Bahamas too, because it goes clear out over the Atlantic. 50,000 watts means we have listeners from Orlando to Daytona Beach down to West Palm Beach. It's a fantastic coverage for 50,000 watt AM 1510. Has been a great partner for Helping Seniors for so many years. Joe Steckler, who is our president, founder, chairman of the board, has been doing radio together with John Harper for 16 years, and John was telling me that makes Joe the longest running successful syndicated radio personality here in Brevard County with the longest running talk show. And what an honor it is to be in Joe's chair today and talk about helping seniors. So we have an exciting show today. We are going to talk about Knowledge College for Aging. And I'm going to introduce my hosts in a moment, but I want to thank the people who help make Helping Seniors possible. We have so many businesses who have sponsored and partnered, and they help us do the work of operating our senior information line, which is 321-473-7770. 321-473-7770. And when you dial that number, you're going to speak to Kay Kaiser, who is one of the most experienced and knowledgeable and friendly people that you will ever meet. And together, Helping Seniors has served over 1,800 individual cases free of charge with seniors needing help, and that's what Helping Seniors' mission is all about. We are here to educate, to inform, and connect. And some of the people that help us do that are Canadian Meds of Melbourne, Joe Pons and the team there, Courtney and Braswell Financial Group, Ebony News Today, Ear Care Associates, Handy Pro of the Space Coast, Hometown News, In-Home Personal Services, Kindred at Home, Organized Creative Designs, Riverview Senior Living Resort, Senior Scene Magazine, Seniors Helping Seniors, Dr. Lee Sheldon, who is a great periodontist here on the Space Coast. And we'll talk about more as we get into the second part of the show. But right now, we're going to shift gears and we're going to get into the meat of today's show, which is the Knowledge College of Aging. And I'll explain what that is, and we're going to introduce our guest. Knowledge College for Aging is a not-for-profit organization that's based here in the Space Coast. And we have today three different folks from the Knowledge College of Aging. The first is the academic dean and professor of the Knowledge College. His name is Rob Dixon, and his actual company is called Sentinel Care. He's a professional guardian, expert at what he does, case management, all sorts of things. Welcome, Rob.
Thank you very much.
And our next guest is Nancy Taylor, who's an exceptionally experienced and knowledgeable real estate person with, help me if I get this wrong, but it's Berkshire Hathaway Florida Realty. Is that right?
That's correct.
And you're also a professor with the Knowledge College for Aging.
Yes, I am.
And then we have in the studio with us Troy Denault, whose organization is Sotir LLC, who's also a business partner of Helping Seniors of Brevard. But today you're wearing the Knowledge College for Aging hat, and welcome, Troy.
Thanks for having us.
So, Rob, let me start with you and just ask the question, what is Knowledge College? Remember, our listeners may or may not be aware of the big event that's coming up on the 18th, but let's take them from ground zero. They know nothing. What is a Knowledge College for Aging?
Okay, well, about 10 years ago, I started to act as a guardian and case manager in Brevard County, and a lovely person, Barb Whitley, helped in many ways to get me educated in that whole world. And early on, I was very frustrated because so many people that I came in contact with were in dire straits. They were in crisis management mode. And so frustrating because it doesn't have to be that way. And so over time, we were looking to see how we might swim upstream to help people prepare for the inevitable, which is aging, which all of us, of course, are aging. And then I ran into good folks like yourself that encouraged me to go forward with this idea of Knowledge College for Aging. And then finally, we launched early part of last year, 2016. And we had a couple of seminars, both at the First Baptist Church of Melbourne, as well as at Covenant Presbyterian Church, where we had about 50, and the second one, 80 people, primarily 40 to 60-year-olds, who had aging parents, and they themselves had questions about aging issues. And then I was challenged to consider working with corporate America here in Brevard County, and that's why we're so excited that our first seminar is this Saturday with Health First Hospital.
Health First is helping us as far as doing the funding behind us and doing the sponsorship, helping us put everything together. It's amazing. They have really led the way for us to open the doors for us and for them to help our seniors.
You know, one of the things that Joe has impressed on Kay and myself is that the real mission, you know, he built the whole Alzheimer's, people know Joe's clubs, everything like that. Joe has always been a tireless champion for seniors. And one of the things that he's always impressed upon myself and Kay is how important it is we get information into the hands of people so that they can make an aging plan. And the whole concept, you've actually taken it, Rob, to another level, because you say help people get ahead of the aging curve. And that's really, you're talking to people who might be working with they may be a senior, they may be an adult child of a senior, and they're trying to figure out what are the steps. And how the whole purpose of Knowledge College is to help people get prepared ahead of time, right?
Yes, sir, it is. Everything from working with a good financial planner, consider such things as investments, annuities, Social Security benefits, long-term care insurance, to speak with an attorney about advanced directives to make sure that if and when something happens to them, that the documents are in place to
get them where they need to go.
That's right.
No, absolutely. And you know, one of the things that's important, maybe Nancy, to comment, this is not in any way, it's not a sales pitch. It's not companies out presenting, well, this is what I do, you should do business with us. This is really an educational outreach, right?
Absolutely. What I really love about this organization and being a part of it is that we are out there to help educate the people that are out there. In many days, I'll be in touch with a family who's in a crisis situation where something has happened and they've got, for me, real estate. They have, what do I do? How do I get through this? What do I do with the funds when I sell the property? Who's going to handle the monies? It really helps, when that family member is dealing with the person who really needs them next to their side. The last thing they really need to be doing is running around the town trying to figure out all the things that if we can help them get it in touch right up front, know where the paperwork is, know who their financial planner is, know who their attorney is, where are the wills, where are the documents. If we can make their lives easier up front, they're going to have more time to spend with their loved one at the side of their bed as opposed to fretting about what do I do next.
Absolutely. We had a conversation at a breakfast meeting this morning, and we were talking about the fact that people need to get information at a time that it can make a difference and be helpful to them. One of the reasons that Joe established the Helping Seniors info line was because we wanted to have a resource that people could call up. And to be honest, we get challenged with questions every day, many of which we can answer. Occasionally there's something we can't, but we care and we will try to get that answer. That's what we call the outbound, or that's what we call the inbound communication. People get that number and they call us. The outbound part of it is what we're doing with media. For example, the radio show on WMEL. If you pick up a copy of Senior Scene magazine, in the center there's yellow pages. We call them the information pages. That's our newsletter. And we're all about getting information into the hands of seniors so that they can make a plan that will help them through various crises. And what you guys are doing with Knowledge College, and one of the reasons why we're so happy to be partnered on this, is that you are doing that. You're helping people get ahead of whatever crisis is going to come up. I wanted to ask you who, Rob, should attend a Knowledge College event. Who is the person that would be what you would consider, this is the person I would love to have take 3 hours on a Saturday and come and learn with us?
Yes, sir. Well, I would think anyone that finds themselves aging which really includes all of us. And obviously our target audience is a 40 to 60-year-old, because those folks are starting to, think about such things, and then they have parents and some grandparents that are challenged with a lot of different aging issues. And so certainly we would love to see seniors there as well. And but again, our target is a 40 to 60-year-old.
I heard Troy, who's one of the roles within, he speaks about assisted living and when it's and trying to help families get in that. And he had a statement one time. I love how you put it. You said nobody just wakes up on a random Saturday morning and decides to go on a tour of assisted living facilities. It's always happening. It's always happening when there's a crisis. And what you're trying to do with Knowledge College and ultimately the Parade of Homes is get people ahead of that aging curve. So Troy, I was going to ask you if you could comment a little bit on why is it important for you to take the time on, you guys are busy professionals. Why would you take the time to volunteer to help Knowledge College?
Well, again, in being an advocate and being a family advocate, that I tend to see the dark side of things. I get a lot of calls from Adult Protective Services, or DCF, a lot of the emergency rooms, a lot of families that are in crisis, and it doesn't have to be this way. And so to be able to be a part of an organization that is empowering the public, that is out there, that is educating and giving them the tools to be successful. Because again, when the crisis strikes, your emotions have taken over. And when your emotions take over, you normally don't come to the best decisions, or you're led by the slick-tongued marketers that are out there that have their own personal agendas. And so that's where being a part of an organization to at least give you the tools, or at least explain what the different tools in the toolbox look like. Because it's just knowing what is available, from private duty home care to real estate. A lot of times I'm getting questions, well, what am I going to do with all of my stuff? It's real basic, simple questions that are causing these families to be at a standstill. And so in being able to come in with a group of professionals that are all in our own individual lanes, where we can empower that specific family with their specific need as to what that obstacle is in their life at that moment. And a lot of times, like you said, when it comes to living options, we're all Peter Pan. We're never going to look into this thing.
Sure.
And so that's where being a part of at least breaking the psychology or educating the difference between an assisted living and a nursing home.
Right.
Just basic things like that.
Getting people
that is a game changer.
ahead of that aging
and getting
curve.
them ahead of it
Right.
when they have their logical mind is involved versus, their emotions have taken over, and that's when you fall victim to the system.
Rob, I wanted to ask you, you have an event, the next event coming up, which is actually ironic. We can't invite people to it because it's a sold-out event, but it is the one that's coming up on the 18th. And tell a little bit about this unique partnership that Health First came and said, we like the program that you guys are offering. This is a value. We have a mailing list. We want to work with you on this. How did all that, tell us about that. What do you think makes that program resonate with people and why we need it now?
Well, back in August, I ran into one of the executives with Health First, and I mentioned to him casually about the idea of Knowledge College and how we wanted to bring it into the corporate world. And within 10 minutes, he gave me his business card and asked for me to call him to schedule an appointment. And over a 2-month period, talking back and forth, we came up with the date of February 11th, February 18th. And they are hosting us at the Hilton Rialto. And we didn't know how many people would show up. And so, lo and behold, a week before the event, we're sold out at 250. We'll be there, and so we're now on a waiting list. And we have another event scheduled a month later, which will basically provide for the overflow. But it doesn't take long, I think, for people to understand the value of swimming upstream, having a group of professionals holding each other accountable to make sure that we make good decisions, not for our own bottom line in the P&L statement, but rather for the person that we're working with.
No, and it's so important. And Nancy, I was going to ask you because, here again, you're a busy, successful real estate professional. This is a volunteer. This is where you're giving back your time, and you're coming and you're going to impart things of wisdom to people that are smart enough, I would say, to get ahead of that curve and come in and start learning this thing when they have the luxury of having a Saturday morning. It's a pleasant event, but why is it important to you to do this?
Well, I actually have lived in the shoes of some of the people today who are going through this. Unfortunately, my mother back in the year 2000 had a stroke. I was on my way to work, and I got that call, and there was dead silence in my head. What do I do? The first thing is I need to go be with my mother. She was at the hospital. I had to get there. Things went through my head as the doctors were working with her. What's my next step? I did not have the group of professionals for my mother that I am now associated with, where I can pick up the phone and call to Rob or call to Troy or call to any of the other professors in our group and say, okay, can you help me with this? My mother, fortunately, was very much ahead of her curve, and she had a lot of that done. I didn't realize it the day I got the call. So when I was able to go and find her paperwork, and I realized how important that was, that she had done that for me, I love to put this information out and hope other people who may be faced with that call one day will have their paperwork already in place and ready for them.
You know, Rob, you have done an amazing job of pulling together professionals who not only have just experience in the topics that they're presenting, but just like Nancy was explaining, they have a great compassion because they've either lived it and been up close to it. I know some of the speakers you've put together for these events they're phenomenal in the information they bring. How do you do it?
Well, first of all, it was very important to me that the people that speak be entertaining. I didn't want boring talking heads in front of a microphone putting everyone to sleep. I also thought it would be better that we speak in 15 to 20-minute increments, so we've got a new person coming up and speaking on their particular area of expertise rather than someone speaking for an hour, hour and a half. And so because I moved here in 1976, and both my father and stepmother were Chambers of Commerce presidents, and I've gotten to know a lot of people over the years. My brother Scott's an attorney with Wiedemann Malik, and so I've just been able to meet a lot of good people. And so it took us about 6 months to build the team of speakers that I think are excellent. They're entertaining. They'll make you laugh. They may make you cry. And I think at the end of this seminar, and all the way through really, that people will be scratching their heads saying, I need these guys. I need this information. I need to get ahead of this aging curve that has just been dogging us for so long.
You know, you do a survey, because I've seen it at the past events that you do. You pass out a survey at the end, and you ask for comments. You take them very seriously. But overwhelmingly, the response that you get back is people are so glad that they attended this. And is that typical of what you see across the board with those?
Well, last year we had our events at Covenant Presbyterian and First Baptist, and in both cases the pastors were concerned that at 3.5 hours we would be putting people to sleep, and I understand that. I've been put to sleep often. And what I found was at both seminars, between excellent speakers, great topics, feeding off of one another as far as advice and so on, that at the end of the 3 hours that the people were on the edge of their seats, leaning forward with pen in hand, writing very quickly, and on the sheets, the feedback forms, the common thing that they would say is, we need more time, we need more information, we want to meet with you individually. And so it was very rewarding to find that it really wasn't a long enough seminar versus being way too long.
Yeah, and I can certainly attest to that, because it's interesting. I had the privilege of basically walking around the room and watching how people were reacting, and they were scribbling, they were getting good information, and some of the testimonials from people who came up afterwards said this was really good information. We're going to talk about more of that when we come back in just a minute after the break, because we want to get into some of the other things that are part of Knowledge College. We're going to talk about the intensives you offer and the parade of homes, and these are all free services. This is completely free to the people who participate. It's one of the reasons when Joe and I were talking about the importance of what you do with Knowledge College, we want to make sure that everything that Helping Seniors is doing is giving people information. It's helping them to go and grow. And so as we talked about, the mission for Helping Seniors is to get people educated so that they can make the best decisions for their particular situation. So we're doing that with media. We're doing that with showing up at trade show events and participating in those. And one of the important things about Knowledge College is that's what you guys are committed to providing in that kind of information. Now, we just have like a minute before break, but the one on Saturday is sold out. I think you have Sheriff Wayne Ivey is going to be there. You have like, it's almost like a who's who, but there are other events that are coming up that people can register. What's the website, or how would they get involved or get more information about upcoming events?
Well, I think the easiest way is to call our phone number 321-725-6799. And you also can go on our website and register online at the knowledgecollegeforaging.org. Let me change that, knowledgecollegeforaging.com. So I'm sorry about that.
No, that's good. And as always, if you're hearing this show and you didn't get a chance to jot down the phone number, you give our senior information hotline a call. Kay will have all that information available. It's 321-473-7770, 321-473-7770. And you're always welcome to visit helpingseniors.brevard.org or .com, actually, for that matter, and get information online that will help you. This is really an exciting topic. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about the intensives. We're going to talk about the Parade of Homes senior living style, and what are the motivations behind getting this information into people's hands. This is such an important work that you guys are doing. You're going to be talking to 250 people on Saturday, and it just seems like it's going to be a wonderful event upcoming. I guess you guys are looking forward to it.
Yes, sir, we are.
Fired up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, one last quick question is, if it's free, how do you work this? We have like 20 seconds, but how do you work this? How are you able to do this for free for people?
Well, this is part of our marketing effort of getting the word out, and certainly there are other wonderful guardians and case managers, as well as lawyers and realtors, elder placement specialists, and so on occasion we get referrals from these events.
Good. Well, thank you for the good work you're doing. We're going to talk more when we come back after this break.
It's the Talk to Me Network on AM 1510, FM 99.9, 94.7, and 100.7.
And welcome back to the second half of Helping Seniors radio program on 50,000 watt AM 1510 WMEL. And may I dare also add FM. There's 3 FM frequencies available, and you can listen online at 1510WMEL.com. And so, and of course, you can also find all of the programs that we do for Helping Seniors archived on the helpingseniors.brevard.org website. And I'm Kerry Fink, and I'm the Executive Director with Helping Seniors, and very pleased and honored to be sitting in Joe Steckler's seat here today. Joe is our founder, our visionary, our chairman. He's the guiding light behind Helping Seniors, and has been. We're now in our 6th year of serving seniors in Brevard County. Joe, many of you know, was sort of the impetus behind getting everything moving with the Alzheimer's. They called it Joe's Club. All that stuff is all Joe Steckler. He has a lifetime of service of helping seniors, and that's our mission, is to be helping seniors. We want to educate, empower, and just make it possible for seniors to enjoy their years and to do the best they can under whatever circumstances. So with that, some of the ways that we make our organization go, we're a 501c3, not-for-profit. That is lingo speak for you can make a charitable contribution and help us keep everything going with helping seniors. In fact, we've initiated a new plan called the $100 Club. And all that is people are committing $100 per year to help helping seniors do our work. And we're looking for 1,000 people in Brevard County to help us in the next year to do that. There are 125,000 seniors in Brevard County. In fact, the numbers, if you go with the AARP numbers, 50% of Brevard is over 50, and 1 in 4 is actually over 65. So this is a county where you either are a senior, you're caring for a senior, loving a senior, or you're planning on being a senior, one of those things. And that's what we're all about. So one of the things that we try to do is educate, empower, and connect people to resources that matter. And one of those that does matter is Knowledge College for Aging. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that in just a second. I want to thank some of the people who make Helping Seniors possible. Spotlight magazine is one. The Eye Institute, seebetterbrevard.com is another good one. In fact, we're excited. Joe Steckler just had cataract, very successful cataract surgery. And as Joe is the kind of, just to let you know the kind of individual Joe is, he says, I want this filmed. I want people to see that this is painless and that this is something that you should not be afraid of. So we had camera crews. They had to get all in their scrubs and everything to be in the actual room where Joe was having this successful cataract surgery. It's going to be on an upcoming TV show of Helping Seniors, and we're really appreciative for Dr. Darlington and the team at the Eye Institute for helping make that happen for us. Other sponsors include Veterans Realty of Brevard, Vitas Healthcare, William Johnson. Bill Johnson is an elder law attorney with a tremendous amount of experience, has been a real resource and a help to Helping Seniors over the years. This radio station, 1510, 50,000 watt, WMEL AM. Wusthof Health System, Sotir LLC, Troy Denault's excellent company helping with getting assisted living placements. We have the Barefoot Tattler, Aldea today. The list goes on, and we really appreciate everyone who helps keep Helping Seniors going. It's how we operate, and we fund our Helping Seniors information line. It's a free call from anywhere in the county, 321-473-7770, 321-473-7770. And our topic today is Knowledge College, and let me reintroduce our guest. We have Rob Dixon, who is he's actually the principal behind Sentinel Care, but the hat that he's wearing today is that of academic dean and kind of the visionary behind Knowledge College for Aging. Welcome back, Rob.
Thank you.
And we also have in the studio with us Nancy Taylor, who is a very successful realtor with Berkshire Hathaway Florida Realty, and just another one of the professors, I put it in quotes, professors with the Knowledge College for Aging. Welcome back.
Thank you.
And Troy Denault, who is a principal with Sotir LLC, which you help people get into the right form of living, whether it's assisted living or at home, and you help them manage that whole process. But you're also a professor on the Knowledge College. And welcome back, Troy.
Thanks.
And so we were just talking during the break that this whole organization has an interesting thing. It started, it actually technically is a ministry, but it started as a ministry.
That's right.
Because there was a story that Rob Dixon tells as a guardian. Now, I was asked by somebody today that I really thought everybody knew what a guardian is. And sometimes we take these things for granted, but could you give like the 10-second explanation, Rob, of what a guardian is to somebody that just doesn't know that term?
Sure. Well, if you don't plan with advanced directives and get ready for the aging process to take you to maybe even disable you or whatever, then the court steps in and appoints a guardian to come in to make decisions for you. So Knowledge College is an effort for me to become a case manager for people rather than a court-appointed guardian, because that's, or me or someone else, because whoever the court may choose may not be the person that you would have preferred making your decisions.
Right. And so in this case, I think you told a story that really gave you a heart. You know, we're all in here, we're all professing Christian faith, and Rob is very active in his church, and he was telling a story to me that was absolutely fascinating. It was a lady that he was responsible for managing care for, who lived by herself, didn't have any relatives, but had a $1.5 million estate. And she had set up a will where half was going to go to the college that she attended in the 1950s, and then the other half was going to go to benefit the work of her church. Well, she fell terribly ill, and somehow along the way, the church didn't step up to its responsibility of bothering to visit her or do the things that you would expect somebody who's given a lifetime of service to that particular church to do. And so as I understand the story, someplace close to the end of her life, she called you and said, Rob, I need to change my will. And as I understand the story, after you went through all the due diligence aspects, made her repeat it several times over a period of time, she remained adamant about this. And so because it is her money and her decision, you actually had to facilitate her rewriting that will, and it cut the church out completely. And she gave all the money to a college that she hadn't been to in almost
30 years.
20 or 30 years.
Yeah.
And that church lost out on a $750,000 blessing that they could have had that might have impacted all the programs that the church was trying to do, simply because they didn't step up to their own responsibility of looking after seniors.
Right, and the irony was even increased because she was the one in charge of a ministry that would do knit blankets and whatnot and visit the infirmed for over 20 years in her church. She was the leader of the church to do the ministry to the homebound. And then when it was her turn, the church was unable to help her. And so she was very upset over her being dissed. And this was a lovely church, a great church, but one that wasn't prepared to come alongside and help at the level that I think she needed.
And that's what really gave you the vision to do Knowledge College, because you began it as an effort to like train deacons in a church or things like that to help them understand what their responsibility is. That's sort of how the idea came to be, isn't it?
Yes, sir. And I visited churches. I've been involved with clients over a 10-year period, some of whom the churches did a wonderful job, and other churches, again, that just were not prepared, not aware, not looking to see how they might minister to the seniors. And as Scripture clearly tells us, commands us, that we are to take care of widows and orphans. That's a Old Testament and New Testament.
Yeah, no doubt. And so what you found was initially you began this as a program to educate churches and their members on what to do with seniors, but you quickly found out that there's another very important market that's maybe a little bit more practical, but no less important in the overall scheme, and that becomes working with HR departments. And the stories that you tell where you've talked to HR departments who typically get a phone call, and now somebody has to be, it's very much, Nancy, like the story you told, that you suddenly get a call, you're the adult child of an aging parent, and all of a sudden there's a crisis, and now you have to take all this time off from work to be able to manage that situation. Rob, why don't you tell a little bit about how this transitioned into becoming, instead of just in churches, but also a tool for even HR companies?
Well, as I was talking with John Reinhold, who's been a mentor of mine since 1978, and we talked about how we might expand the ministry to include others, and he mentioned the corporate initiative. Well, as God would have it, within a couple days, one of my dear friends, also a court-appointed guardian, told me the story where an engineer from Harris Corporation walked into HR and said, "My mother's taken ill and I have to take off work." And he was a project lead engineer. He had to take 3 weeks off of work, and so the 4 or 5 engineers underneath him had to get dispersed out to other jobs, so their project was put on hold. And then after a couple days of that project being on hold, he became aware of adult daycare. And so within a couple days, he had his mother in adult day, and the next morning he was back at work. They reassembled the team of engineers, and the project continued on. And I think that was all because, as is true with, I think, many receptionists and other staff in a church, also in HR departments, which again are at the front line of trying to provide for their employees, that the HR department was not aware of some of the basics of these services. We have, my brother Scott says that Brevard County is a wonderful place to age. It's like God's waiting room. And so we have a wonderful group of service providers all over the county. It's a great place to age, and yet in that case, it took a week or so for the engineer to find out about something so basic as adult day.
Wow. And so now you actually invite organizations to give Knowledge College a call and have this ability for them to organize together with you to have this concept or this seminar available for large groups that are within a larger company, right?
Yes, sir, absolutely. We would like to see at least 70 people in a seminar, and we are speaking with some large corporations about them hosting us in a seminar. We're also speaking with some of the Brevard County's entities on the same measure, and I can jokingly say operators are standing by. 321-725-6799. We certainly would love to bring our message into your place of business to, again, help your employees, help your HR departments to get ahead of the aging curve, and also certainly the churches to do the same there. That is our first love, and between the two, they're at the front lines of learning about the needs of their employees, of their church members, and then how we might minister to those needs.
Now, you actually, speaking of churches, we actually have an interesting event coming up with one of it's a place that's very near and dear for us. It's Riverview Senior Living that has been a partner with helping seniors even from before they opened the facility. They've come on the show. Joe has talked with them. It's a fascinating, beautiful luxury place right on the river there in Palm Bay. And they've actually asked Knowledge College to come in and co-present. And I think your other sponsor is a church. It's the First Baptist Church there in Malabar. And everybody is working together to bring this seminar. So you guys are going to have 70 to 100 people there for that one. Talk a little bit about that event, what's coming up for that, and how people who are interested in that might get involved in that.
Well, it's a good thing that we're maxed out at the Health First event, as we were hoping we might be. And Riverview, along with First Baptist of Malabar, are co-hosting the event at the Riverview Resort right off US 1 south of Palm Bay Road. And we're basically going to be having a lot of the same topics. I've not yet asked a doctor to speak, so we're getting on the phone about that. Also, we're going to speak with one of the police officers in probably Palm Bay to speak on the issues of exploitation of the elderly. In fact, even last night, although I don't know the final details of the story, but I believe the Palm Bay Police Department went on a wellness check for a senior, and there was an altercation where police officers had to fire upon a person that they felt was a threat, and that man was in the hospital last night recovering, and I'm guessing that was a senior who might have been suffering from dementia and might be delusional or whatever. So, these are all things that we're trying to, again, educate the public on. Dementia is such a wretched disease, and again, if we get ahead of it and a lot of education, then I think we can prevent these sorts of incidents, or even just neglect, where a person lives by themselves, not eating, not sleeping, not maybe they should be driving, they shouldn't be.
Yeah. No, so let's talk a little bit real quickly. So in a 3-hour session, we can use the one that's coming up on Saturday as an example. What will somebody get out of that 3-hour session, Nancy? Can you maybe fill in some of the speakers? What are the topics that we're going to cover and those kind of things?
Sure. Well, a lot of the things that we'll be talking to is we're going to be talking about guardianship, case manager. What is that? What is it all about? We'll be talking about staying at home safely, things to do, have somebody come in and just make sure, evaluate that you are able to stay in your home, or do you need to have life alert in your home? Do you need to look at maybe a private study coming in to be with you, to take care of you during the day, or is it time for daycare, an adult daycare, day center to go to that? We'll talk about family support options, the caregivers, how can we help you if you're the one who's taking care of this person who is now under your care 24/7. We'll be talking about senior living options, VA benefits, and a lot of other topics such as respite care. We'll be talking about real estate, what to do with the property, what to do with the contents. Do you need an estate sale? Do you need a mover? Do you need, what is the home worth? Are you wanting to keep the home or sell the home? And also, then we talk about financially, what if you do sell that home? What do you do with the proceeds? What do you do with the finances that your loved one has right now? How are they managed, and what is the long-term care for that? Speaking of long-term care, what if you don't have long-term care insurance now? When my mom had her stroke, I didn't have long-term care insurance as a thought in my head. I got it months right after she had her stroke. So, the younger you are to apply for your long-term care insurance, the lower your premium's going to be. So I learned a lot having gone through that. But the topics that we touch on are so varied, and I really honestly feel there's going to be, everyone in that room is going to find something that they're going to walk away with and go, oh my goodness, I hadn't even thought about that, or I really need to talk to that person or this person, or call somebody they already know in that profession. Again, we're there to deliver the message and hopefully get people moving forward in a proactive mode and be reactive.
Wow, and it sounds like it's a 30,000-foot overview of everything, and that probably leads us into quickly the topic of intensives. Now, what is an intensive, and what does that mean as a follow-up to the 3-hour seminar, Rob?
Well, as far as the intensives go, we try to get down into the weeds. So, one of the difficulties is we'll pick on Troy. After the seminar, a lot of people want to speak with Troy about elder placement specialist, about where to go, and yet it's a very specific task, set of tasks that he needs to perform. So it's hard to get too many details. He also will be speaking by the way of VA benefits, Medicaid benefits, etc. And so at the intensives, we get down into the weeds. And I think in Troy's case, Troy, you and Nancy will be doing yours together, and you'll be speaking first about, okay, so you're thinking about it's time to move. So where are you going to move to? And there's so many factors to consider about what to do. And so you'll be speaking about those issues. And then going back to Nancy, the realtor with Berkshire Hathaway, that she'll be speaking about, okay, we're going to sell your property. We also need to do an estate settlement as far as the personal property goes, and there might be a car that needs to be sold. There might need to be an appraisal. So we've just got a lot of different topics that will be covered more in depth during these 6 intensives. One of those intensives is a Parade of Homes, which certainly I'd love for Troy to speak about. And then the other 5 intensives will be the various professors that will get down and speak more specifically.
Right, and that's what I was going to ask you, Troy, about, because another function of the Knowledge College for Aging is, in fact, this idea called Parade of Homes Senior Living Edition. And we're going to actually have a radio program upcoming where we're going to really get into that. But just on an overview basis, what is Parade of Homes Senior Living Edition?
Well, the Parade of Homes is pretty, it is just that. I think that when you start talking about living options outside of home, the image that is branded into our minds is that of what our grandparents and parents went through. Me being from the Midwest in southern Illinois, it was a scary place. I mean, the white tile floors, the off-white wall, the handrails that run the entire long hallway, everybody in a wheelchair kind of in a line and head slunched over, just kind of waiting. And I remember as a kid, it was very scary. And so the Parade of Homes in general, fast forward to the latest and greatest and what has happened, a lot of industries and a lot of things have changed across all types of industries in that period of time. And the living options component, assisted living, skilled nursing facilities have changed so dramatically. And the Parade of Homes is simply about breaking the psychology on what your parents and grandparents went through to what is updated and what is current today. As we're talking about Riverview, I mean, being right there on the river, it's like a cruise ship on land at port. There is nothing institutional about that community. But there are a range of them. Here in Brevard County, there are 140 different options.
Wow.
And so what we do, and as I kind of explain it, it's kind of like going into a Baskin-Robbins. I mean, ice cream is ice cream. It is what it is. But that doesn't mean that everybody likes chocolate. Some people like strawberry. Some people like, chocolate chip cookie dough. It's just what they do. So it's going through and giving them just a snapshot of what is a larger assisted living apartment style condo kind of feeling. What is that? And then there are a number of smaller family care homes or smaller home type of assisted living settings that maybe are only licensed for 5. The same license that hangs on the wall at the larger facility is the same one that's in that smaller one. It's just more intimate. And so to go through and get an idea of what one of those looks like, and then also going through and seeing like a state-of-the-art memory care. A lot of times when we say the word memory care, again, we get that scary feeling of, I'm not going there and things of that nature. Some of these communities are absolutely gorgeous. Their programming is fantastic. It's not about going there and just trying to survive. it's an opportunity to thrive and move forward and have the next chapter in your life.
Yeah, there is so much to that's like peeling an onion. There are so many layers to that whole discussion because I had the privilege of going with you and Rob on one of the first ones, and it was really fascinating. And that's why I said we're going to devote a whole program to that overall. What I want to ask you in the minute or so that we have left, Rob and Nancy and Troy, is how we're all in the business of getting good information to seniors. We want to make sure seniors get everything they need. How can our two organizations best work together to help you guys in making the Knowledge College the biggest, have the biggest reach that it possibly can? We're committed to getting information out there. What helps you guys the best with this?
Well, I'll say right now, I think today is a great step forward for all of us. The partnership we already have is fantastic, and I think knowing that we have the opportunity to get in front of other people in today's radio show, being able to let people out there know that we're available. If you've got an organization HR department who is looking to host our seminar, we certainly want to be there, and I think that's probably one of the best things and part of our partnership.
That's so good. Well, thank you guys for being part of the Helping Seniors radio show on today. Both, Rob, I really appreciate you bringing the crew up here and being part in the studio and explaining this. We're excited to be part of the event on Saturday. If people want, real quickly, the phone number for the event on March 11th, if they want to register for that, well, who do they call?
Well, they would call Sentinel Care at 321-725-6799.
All right, and thanks for joining us on WMEL, and we'll see you next week right here with Helping Seniors. Have a good week.